Hey, this video is for a Greek class, and it goes along with your textbook by Croy, chapter 17. It would be a great idea to grab your textbook and follow along in the book while I explain the concepts. These are now third declension nouns, so we're going back to nouns and to pick up one thing in particular. These are the nouns you know so far. You know first declension nouns that are mostly feminine, and they follow this pattern: hey, taste, tay, tain, high, tone, tice, toss. And so you have phone, which is the eta ones. You have something like hora, which is the pure alpha ones, because the ei rho, so the letter right before the alpha is one of those letters, epsilon, iota, or rho. And when the letter right before the alpha is anything else, like doxa, then it goes back and forth between the alphas and etas, but it's all still basically the same pattern that follows the definite article, the feminine definite article, hey, taste, tay, tain, high, tone, tice, toss. The second declension nouns are mostly masculine and neuter that you've learned so far. So you have ha lagos, tu lagu, to lago, ton lagon, the vocative lage, hoi lagoi, ton lagon, tois lagois, tus lagus, lagoi. Or you have the neuter pattern, in which the nominative and the accusative are exactly the same. Ta teknon, tu teknu, to tekno, ton teknon, ta tekna, tone teknon, tois teknois, ta tekna. And so you have the masculine and the neuter side by side. Third declension nouns, here's some things about them. They've got all three genders. So it's not that gender is going to be the main indicator. You're going to learn the basic endings, but there are several different and common patterns to the third declension noun. It's basically our catch-all for all the other nouns that don't seem to follow well into the patterns you've learned so far. For third declension nouns that are feminine and masculine, so both gendered feminine and masculine, but not gendered neuter, this is what you typically have. You'll have that the nominative will have no indicator or just a sigma at the end. And then the genitive will have os, the dative e, which is what you recognize anyways, that iota. The accusative will have an a or an on. The plural will have ace, the genitive will have own, the dative will have sin, and then the accusative will have os. I have a way that I learned this from, like, just remembering, like, a little sentence. I'll tell you about it in class. But these are them: os, e, on, ace, own, sin, os. Here's kind of how to go about it then, is you want those endings, but you're going to have to put them not on the nominative, but on the genitive singular. And so third declension stems can actually be found by removing the os from the genitive form, and the vocabulary form that you have will typically also give you the genitive, and so all of a sudden your vocabulary may be giving you what looks like two words, but you're actually learning one word. You're just learning two forms of it. So the word is ha-aner. But ha-aner, and then you need andros to be able to figure out the chart. The rest of these are true as well. Let me show you to them in a form, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Ha-archon means the ruler. But you can't form the rest of the third declension off of archon. You have to wait till you get to this, archontos, to be able to form the rest of it. To archontos tells you what to do, and so in your vocabulary word, it should give you these. The ha, which says it's masculine, archon, which is the nominative, archontos, which is the genitive, and once you have that, you can make the rest of the third declension, because archont is the base upon which to build it. So to, archont, e, ton, archont, a, hoi, archontes, tone, archonton, tois, archusine, it's a little bit different than that one too, and then tus, archontos. So this is the pattern for masculine words, and you have to know the genitive to be able to form it for yourself. The gender of the third declension nouns cannot necessarily be known from the lexical form alone, because you have masculine, feminine, and neuter words in the third declension. And then the stem is based off of the genitive, not based off of the nominative. And so that's why the dative plural also is sometimes unusual. The sigmas are like causing it problems. Here's the same kind of a pattern, but now with a feminine word. And so you know it's feminine because of the hey that's in the vocab at the top. So hey, sarx is flesh. But then you have to know the genitive to be able to figure out the third declension, because the base is actually sark, like this, taste sark. And once you have that, then you can keep going. Te sarki, tain sarka, hi sarkase, tone sarkone, and then the dative is just weird. Tais sarkisen. Sarksin, I guess. And then tas sarkas. This is a word that you get a lot, in certain forms at least, and so that's kind of the feminine pattern that you get in the third declension. Here's the masculine pattern right next to the feminine pattern. The patterns are very similar for masculine and feminine once you get into the genitive singular. So the nominative itself is what you need to know the subjects, but in this case now you have to learn the genitive singular as well, or you're not going to recognize the words that are there. So suddenly your vocab is giving you two forms of the same word for you to learn. Neuters follow this pattern. You know it's neuter because of the ta, soma, and then you need to add more to it to make this pattern work. But the good thing, third declension nouns that are often neuter follow this much more simplistic pattern. And so somat becomes your base. So tu somatas, to somati, ta soma. Ta somata, tone somatone, toi somasin. So again, it's a little weird in the dative plural. And then ta somata. I think I see more of these. That could be wrong, but it feels like I see more of these neuter third declensions, and they do follow this pattern very clearly, which is not at all like the masculine or the feminine third declension pattern. What we've got here is like a catch-all category for a bunch more forms that there are in Greek. Here's some example sentences that will hopefully help you see them in context and maybe help you out a little bit with this. I do realize that this is a challenging concept. We'll have to cover it both semesters to really nail it down, but it's something that we want to start picking up on now, because once we've done this, we've got all of our indicative verbs, we've got all the forms of our nouns, we've got all the forms of our pronouns, we've got all of the preposition forms. We're really chugging along, and then when we're down to just some moods in verbs that are going to take these pieces and shuffle them a little bit more. But we're getting really close so that you have basically the basis of Greek. Here's some example sentences. This one says, ha aner, elthe, pros ton Jesun, en nukti, kai edidakthen, hup autu. Okay, I see a lot of things going on here. I've highlighted a couple of them for you. Ha aner, which should be your vocab word, and then nukti. The ha aner is the man, and so here's the translation. The man went to Jesus when in the night or at night, and he was taught by him. Aner is a third declension nominative, and it's the subject, and you just have to know that from your vocab. Nukti is a third declension that's in the dative, and it tells us where the ruler went, and you have to learn not just your vocab, but you have to learn the genitive to be able to figure out that this is now the dative, because nukt becomes the basis for it. Here's another one. Hey sarks is in the neuter. No, that's in the feminine. Sorry, I don't know why. I've got things in different colors here. Hey sarks is in the feminine, and then thele, lu, ain, tain, kardian, tus, andros. Tu andros is a version of the word that's up above. That's probably why I have them both in yellow. So ha aner is the nominative, tu andros is the genitive, and it's showing the possession of the heart. And then now the subject is hey sarks, and you know that from your vocab. The flesh wants to destroy the heart of the person. Sarks is a third declension noun. It's the subject. It's in the nominative. Hey helps you know that it's in the nominative. And then tu andros is in the genitive, shows possession. To know and understand the genitive, you have to know the genitive form. Like, it has to be given to you in your vocab. One more example of this. Again, this is trying to take those same words and twist them again. So, ha, kurias, genoske, tain, sarka. It's a version of hey, sarks that was in the previous line. See how they're both in green? To, kai, to soma, kai, ta, pneuma. Those are in the neuter. So, the Lord knows, and this is what the Lord knows. He knows the flesh and the body and the spirit. Tain, sarka is the third declension, accusative. It's based off of the genitive part that we know is feminine because of the tain. Ta, soma, ta, pneuma. These are both neuter accusatives, and the ta is telling me that they're in the neuter, and then soma, pneuma, that follows the pattern of third declension neuters. There's just a lot going on in this chapter, and it's because there's a lot going on in the third declension nouns. They're just the catch-all for everything else. I don't think that this is going to be the easiest thing to just catch on to. This is actually one of the trickier things. But the good thing is you'll see these again and again. A lot of these are irregular words because they can be, because they're common words. And so give it your best shot for now. Try to understand the concepts that are here. If you have questions, you can email me or we can talk about it in class. Learn your vocab. That's going to be your baseline. And as you're learning your vocab this time, learn the genitive as well, because the third declension is built off the genitive. And make sure that you learn the definite article so you know what gender it is. Those things are going to help you as you build it. And then the more and more sentences that you read, the better that you'll be at this. Okay, I look forward to chatting with you about this further. These are third declension nouns, and now we're through all the types of nouns and through all the types of indicative verbs. So we're making good progress in Greek.